The do not disappoint
Will
list.
you
That
use
was one
them
thing
to
I learned
mark our
recently.
fallen
Who's my do not
comrades?
disappoint list? Because I'm going to disappoint everybody. Or I'm going to disappoint a lot of people. But I would much rather disappoint the internet. I would much rather disappoint the Think Media podcast community if it meant that I wasn't disappointing my spouse. I don't want to disappoint my spouse and my kids, but like make you happy. Now I do want you to be happy, and I thank you for being here. But there's an order to this. I don't want to disappoint God. So I want to think about, okay, what are my core responsibilities? What are my core priorities? And that's important for you to write down. And just the essentials. And then who do you need to communicate your priorities to as well? Do you need to communicate your priorities to a boss or to a spouse? Like, for example, this very unique situation, but when I was getting hired in 2011 and applying at a church in Las Vegas called the Church LV, I actually had 2 YouTube channels at the time. I actually had 3. Too much, by the way, horrible idea. But I had Clear Vision Media, my video production business, and I was still chipping away at some freelance video work, and I'd upload those projects there in 2011. I had this channel called Think International, which was a faith-based channel. We ended up posting about 250 videos, grew to 10,000 subscribers. It's still just sitting there on the YouTube, abandoned. But I started with my friend Jeff Morris. That channel was active at the time to a certain extent. And I had Think Media, which was semi-active as well. So I had these 3 YouTube channels. So I remember meeting with Benny Perez, the lead pastor of this church, who was considering hiring me, and I had applied for this job. And I said, hey, is it going to be okay? I'm going to honor my job, but I do have some pre-existing projects. And I actually negotiated, which you can't, it's probably hard to do this like if you already have a job because you're already in it. Now you're like, hey, can I get like more time? But I said, hey, if I do a good job and I really crush it and you're happy and I check with you, I had this thing called Think International. That was kind of the main focus. Would I be able to maybe do a couple things a year? And that was very related to me as a director of communications at the church. Here's my point. I was enrolling people around me in my priorities as well, which could be helpful, right? Communicating your priorities. Who do you need to communicate your priorities to? Your spouse to? Do you agree with your spouse? Do people in your world know what your priorities are? But here's the key. If you're saying, Sean, I want to create consistent content, is that on your list of priorities? And let me challenge you that if you have 10 priorities, you have no priorities. If you have like 5 priorities, you have no priorities. At this season of life, at this exact moment, my 3 priorities are family, my health, and Think Media, the business. I'm in what feels like very blessed, but a very challenging season. 2 young kids. And then Jesus at the center of it all. So my family, I don't want to lose my family. I want to honor my kids. We all are blessed to be able to be thoughtful, but I'm empathetic. If you have to do like 3 jobs right now, single parent, like it could be absolutely insane. I have the decision to put my priorities in order. So it's like, okay, family's on the calendar. Okay, my health. I've got some chronic pain. I've got some chronic health challenges, pain in my arms and wrists, nerve entrapment, needing to do some physical therapy, doing some different supplements and things. So I'm saying health in this season, health is a priority. And then Think Media. And I'm like, I got to keep Snowpiercer on the tracks. Niche reference, but if you know, you know. And so how do we keep Snowpiercer on the tracks? Which is, yes, YouTube, but for me, it would be a bigger priority